Good morning to everyone. Good morning. I hope you all can hear me. Perfect. So, perfect. We are almost at our 9 o'clock mark, and we're going to be getting started in just a bit. I'll give a few more seconds for a couple more people to join in. Perfect. Good morning, everyone. All right. So, first, let me say good morning again to everyone that has joined us. This is our Optimizing Spring Enrollment for PTD technology. I'm sorry. I'd like to welcome you to the Optimizing Spring Enrollment training course. I am Dewana Ross McCreary, and I will be taking you through some of the information to help you prepare for spring enrollment. To give an overview of this training course, CTEIS and what we're working with, the software that we're working with, CTEIS is a web-based application that allows you to report enrollment information for state-approved CTE programs to the state of Michigan. To access CTEIS, you log into the system at My Login for third party using your My Login username and password. By selecting CTEIS after you have logged in, you will be navigated to the CTEIS homepage. As a special note regarding this training, the average building level reporter will focus on completing 3 reports throughout the course of the year. Enrollment and collection processes take place throughout the year. Specifically, for enrollment, there are 3 intervals of collection. Beginning in September, fall course collection completed in October, spring collection including credentials and work-based learning completed in June. Our expenditures reporting begin in September and complete in November, and follow-up data collection begin in October and complete in January. If you are new to the CTEIS system and spring enrollment collection, you will need to reference information that is beyond the scope of this training. You may download the materials that are referenced during this training from the CTEIS knowledge base at supportcetis.com. And the information that I will go through today is taken out of our Optimizing Spring Enrollment Guide, which can also be found on our knowledge base under enrollments. I'm going to be navigating back and forth between my PowerPoint slides here and also going to the CTEIS knowledge base. We're going to do a couple of demos. So hopefully I can give you just a brief overview, take you and walk you through the process of what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm going to be changing screens a couple different times. So that was my little introduction. Yes, and today is it's a completely amazing that we're already into spring and we're at St. Patrick's Day 2022. That's amazing. For me, this year is going by a little bit faster than expected, but we're here and we're excited about spring enrollment. So we're going to get right into this. So, what's new this spring? My login launched in February. So some of you may have saw and you're already signed up and you're already logged in and you're good to go. But what is My Login? My Login is the state of Michigan's single sign-on software that would allow users to access career and technical information system, or CTEIS. You must have a My Login to access CTEIS. If you have not signed up, you can visit the CTEIS knowledge base for instructions on how to sign up for My Login for third party. A helpful guide can be found at supportcetis.com. You look for the data entry tab at the top of the page and select My Login for CTEIS. Okay, June 9th. That's not what the website says. Yeah. I believe there's a couple of things that are being changed over. So if it's not saying the same, I do apologize about that. But on the CTEIS website, I believe it's the 9th. So we're still updating a lot of things. It's due on the 16th. Okay. So if you want to make a adjustment, please do. Thank you for that. If we'll look at it in just a moment, I'll navigate. So if this is wrong, I do apologize. But yep. So make sure you got the important dates together. Your spring enrollment is due to CPET administrators. CPET options as June 9th. Okay. So your EMC dual enrollment and work-based learning is also due at this time. Your preliminary credentials are due June 23rd, and your final credentials are due August 31st. So you want to make sure that you have your important dates taken care of, and I'll navigate to that in just a moment. You want to keep a note that your students need to be enrolled in classes by May 13th, so OCTE can match their records to the MSDS. So please keep that in mind as well. So that's important dates that we want to keep in mind that are fastly approaching. Another thing that you want to remember is that you want to attempt to maximize the number of student advancement and concentrators your programs should produce. And I want you to make note that I said student advancement and concentrators. There is a new category for advancement status. Because of the switch from segments to competencies, there will be changes in how we refer to student advancement. So on your screen, I see that someone's having trouble getting in. Yeah, it is suggested to log out and log back in. And I'm sorry that you're having trouble. As I was stated, there is a new category. Our concentrators, to be identified as concentrators, you have completed at least 8 segments, 2.0 grade or higher. Perkins 5 competencies, you have two PCCs, and you'll hear me refer to PCCs several times. So that's to be identified for concentrators, that's the requirement. To be identified as more than concentrators, you'll have a 2.0 grade or higher. And have completed all 12 segments. For Perkins 5, you'll have 3 or more PCCs or 2 PCs plus an OCTE approved credential. So you want to keep in mind that. We'll go back over this a little bit more in depth in one of the pages in our guide that we're going to get to in just a moment. But just keep in mind, I will be referring to concentrators and more than concentrators. So that's a little different from the past. So, in preparation for spring enrollment collection, you are strongly encouraged to begin your data collection, entry, and validation as early in the school year as possible. I have a question in the chat. What does PCC stand for? That's the Perkins 5 competencies. That's what that refers to on the last slide. So you have your Perkins 4 segments, and you have Perkins 5, which is also referred to as PCC, competencies. So, yes, in preparation for your spring enrollment collection, you're strongly encouraged to begin your data collection, your entry, and validation as early in the school year as possible. Because the information from this collection is used to determine funding allocations as well as to fulfill federal reporting requirements, it is important that all data is complete and accurate. The purpose of this training is to assist you with optimizing your spring enrollments and to ensure that you maximize your student advancement. This training outlines the best practices for data entry, which includes manual data entry using CTEIS screens for managed courses, managed students, managed enrollment, importing data. You can also utilize the file import feature, which is a tool that allows users to upload error-free records into your CTEIS database at any time. This training focuses on the importance of reviewing your data with the help of CTEIS validation and reporting tools. In this training session, we will touch on core components to efficiently conduct verification for enrollments. CTEIS validation tools are useful for illuminating invalid data, that is, information that does not meet the system's specified criteria. However, information that has been entered improperly will not always produce errors. Examples of common data entry mistakes include enrolling students into the wrong course section and incorporating incorrect segments into your courses. Mistakes such as these can cause your programs not to demonstrate advancement. To prevent this, you're required to review your instructional design and the available summary reports with the individuals who provide your information. Accurate information helps measure student advancement. So again, throughout this training, we will reference segments and competencies. And it looks like in the chat we have someone who has left we have a definition of competencies, and we thank you for giving us that information. So yes, we will reference from as we transition from Perkins 4 to Perkins 5. Referring to Perkins 4 programs will use segments to measure advancement. Perkins 5 courses and programs will use competency to measure advancement. And yes, for whoever it is that cannot hear this, we are recording this session, and we will try to have that up. So maybe that could be an option if the sound is a problem. And thank you for putting that in the note. We want to make sure everyone hears. I'm sorry that someone's having trouble. So, although we're going to be going through a lot of information in this training, there is help that is available. So, a lot of the things we may not cover here, there's only so much time. But if you need help using CTEIS, your technical help for technical questions regarding data collection, if you need assistance with importing or entering data, for issues related to CTEIS operations or usage, you can contact our help desk at ctis.help@ptdtechnology.com. If you have questions regarding specifically policy help, for direct questions regarding OCTE policy issues, you can refer to Joan churchj@michigan.gov. So just keep that in mind. This slide will be up again later in the session, but help is available if there are some technical difficulties, and if you have policy, you have the information there. to contact OCTE. So now that we've had all of our introduction, you know why you are here. Let's get started. So I found that this particular checklist for data entry to be helpful, especially for those who are not who are new to CTEIS. I know we have some people who have been here for a while joining us today, and we thank you for all of your input. But if this is something that is new to you, and you know may need a checklist to figure out what it is that you need to do to kind of keep things in order, this particular checklist is found on page 11 of the Optimizing Spring Enrollment Guide. So we're going to navigate our screen. We're going to navigate our screen over to our Optimizing Spring Enrollment Guide just to show you all where we're talking about and where it can be found. So I'm going to change my screen now from my PowerPoints. And this is our CTEIS knowledge base. This is our homepage for supportcetis.com. So when we refer to our knowledge base, you'll hear this a lot. This is where we would go. So this is supportcetis.com. We will head over to our data entry tab, scroll down to an enrollments. And once we click on enrollments, the information is here. So we're going to be in this middle section here, our spring collection. And that's where our Optimizing Spring Enrollment Guide that I'm going to be referring to several times. I'm going to be basically talking right out of this guide. It's going to be located there. So if you want to follow along there, you can do that today. So that's the information there. Again, that's at the supportcetis.com, data entry, and scroll to that first option there, enrollments, and that's where we are. So going back to, this is our Optimizing Spring Enrollment Guide. This is our Optimizing Spring Enrollment Guide here. And one of the pages that I wanted to mention is actually page 8 of this guide. This is the information that we were speaking of earlier regarding the different collection times, the one that I was referring to in the introduction, that could be found on page 7. And then reference documents. This is another helpful page here. It has links. This is page 8. And some of the things that I referenced today are coming right out of some of these links to the guide. So my login for CTEIS registration guide is under enrollment and spring collections. You can find that here. The enrollment and completion collection instructional guide, there were a lot of changes that took place within the last even several weeks. I know you all have received emails and things of that nature regarding that. So this enrollment and completion guide is currently being updated. So just keep that in mind if you're headed over there. But that training session will start, I believe, the 31st of this month. So we have about a week or two to get that information to you, but it's new information that's going in there. Under enrollment, we have our special collections, our work-based learning guide, our managed credentials guide, and then a state of list approved and non-approved credentials are also there. So those are some helpful links. While I also want to make a special note, sometimes when I share my screen, my chat is gone. So I just want to make sure that, yep, everyone is still okay. Okay. So, yeah. So, these are some links for the information here. If you go under importing, the importing students guide and importing courses guide. We will refer to this during our training today, so you can find guides there on how to do that. If you're importing students and you want to use an Excel format, there's a student import file specifications guide that you can refer to, as well as a headings file that you can use for your Excel formats, and that's for importing. If you want your students, if you want to import courses, there's an Excel format course import file specifications guide, as well as the course import headings file. So all of that, again, all of these links are found on page 8 of the Optimizing Spring Enrollment Guide. But what I was specifically talking about just a few moments ago was on page 11, and that is our checklist for data entry. And if you're trying to organize your tasks, you can use this as a helpful tool. It basically goes over what you need to do to manage courses. All courses are entered. Your EMC and dual enrollment courses are identified, dates, primary teacher, all of that information for managed courses. You have tasks for managed staff. So you can check those off if you're done with that. Your managed students, you can enter and update information. You can check UICs, the reports, BAT, UIC by building. You could check off if you've verified that information. Your managed enrollment, it lists enroll students in course through CTEIS, check your students' enter and exit dates, check CSCs. You can use this managed enrollment checklist to make sure you're verifying everything there, manage credentials, manage work-based learning, and then finally your validation and submission. You want to make sure that you have all of these checked off before you go ahead and submit that information. So once you have all of this, then the last one is to submit fall course and student enrollment data. So it's a useful list if that's something that you would like to use. Again, that's on page 11 of our guide. So just keep a special note of that. And as this checklist states, the first topic that we're going to get into today is manage courses. So we're going to navigate back to our PowerPoint slides. And hopefully you all can see that. That's where we left off on our PowerPoint slides. So now we're into our first topic of the day, and that's manage courses. Okay, so when we're managing courses, you use an instructional design form when entering courses. We want to make note that building reporters are not responsible for building design. We ask that you contact your instructors to verify course information. So that's just a special note if there are building reporters with that information. To manage courses, we're going to head over and demo all of this, but those are our instructions on your PowerPoint slide. But again, like I stated, you can follow along on our optimizing spring enrollment guide. But also, if you want to kind of get some practice with this, you can also follow along by logging into Train CTEIS. So that's train.ctis.com, and use your my login credentials, and you can kind of walk through this and kind of practice as we're going through this as well. That's where I will be working from when I do my demos. So if you want to do that, we are kind of, giving you that option. So you have two ways that we can go through this together. So when we're managing courses, we look for the data entry link. We're going to click on manage courses, and here you may add new course sections, edit individual course sections, and copy course information. So I'm going to navigate again so that we can demo this. And if you're following along in our optimizing guide, you're going to be on pages 12 and 13. And just give me 1 second to get there. So that's our Manage Courses tab there. And now we're going to so manage courses. The manage courses screen allows you to add, edit, and review course sections and segments. Again, when we refer to segments, we know that we're making that transfer, but segments are Perkins 4 and competencies are Perkins 5. Course sections and segments are very different in identifying student advancement. So the importance of course sections, segments, and competencies. As you note here, we have our, as I referred to earlier, our categories of advancement: enrollee, participant, concentrator, and more than a concentrator. So this information again is found on page 12, but to be identified as an enrollee, the student has completed with a grade point average of 2.0, or I'm sorry, a grade of 2.0 or better, course sections covering fewer than 4 segments of a CTE program. Perkins 5 course competencies is less than 1 PCC. So an enrollee will have that identification. To be identified as a participant, the student has completed with a grade of 2.0 or better course sections covering at least 4 segments of a CTE program. And then Perkins 5 course competencies is 1 PCC. To be identified as a concentrator, the student has completed with a grade of 2.0 or better course sections covering at least 8 segments of a CTE program, and Perkins 5 course competencies 2 PCCs. And then finally, to be more than a concentrator, as we stated earlier, the student has completed with a grade of 2.0 or better course sections covering all 12 segments of a CTE program. Perkins 5 course competencies would be 3 or more PCCs or 2 PCCs plus an OCTE approved credential. So just keep that in mind. As we move forward again from Perkins 4 to Perkins 5, that information has changed. So we're going to go down to page 13. When we're ready to go to our managed courses, we're going to log in, and if it says CTEIS here, but you're logging in using your My Login because that was just recently updated. So once you've logged into My Login, it will navigate you back to CTEIS. And then once you get there, you're going to click on the Data Entry tab and then Manage Courses. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to go through there and we're going to just demo it. So I'm going to stop sharing. And so I have can a student become more than a concentrator? And of course, if they've completed 8 segments and earned an approved credential. Well, to be specific, that one isn't necessarily, the student has completed 8 segments under a concentrator and 2 PCCs. I would say that that was something that either we would have to talk specifically to OCTE about. Can we go back to the definition slide? Sure. I believe that's our PowerPoint that's all the way back. Oh, okay. Let me see here. 1 second. Let me get there for you. I I believe this is the slide you're referring to. But under our concentrator category, it says covering 8 segments of a CTE program, Perkins 5 course competencies is 2 PCCs. So if they've gotten 2 PCCs and a credential, that's something that the last slide I showed was on, yeah, thank you, the managed courses on page 12. But yeah, I'll ask this question. Again, I do take a lot of questions to get clarification on. But again, if it's specific policy, that's unfortunately something that I can't necessarily touch on too much. So we're going to, I'm going to make sure that I get this information and possibly try to get some answers for you regarding that. But for right now, I just have this information as far as a concentrator without a credential. So I can go back to our optimizing spring enrollment guide. And that was on page 12. And I believe this is the page you were referring to. So yeah, I'm gonna have to get back to you as far as a concentrator with a credential. So where I was headed is we're going to go to screen sharing to do our demo on our managed courses page. So I am going to our CTEIS train page, as I talked about earlier. This is train.ctis.com. If you want to follow along with us and actually practice here, you can use this using your my login. So give me a second to log in here. This is our training site. So I'm all logged in. And we do have our dates here. So yeah, due to CPIT. So yeah, just keep in mind the dates and information is also here. The one I was referring to was the June 9th. So yeah, just keep that in mind. I'll make sure to add all of that for the enrollment course going forward. So, but yeah, we're going to go to our data entry and we're going to click on manage courses. Just as our guide is telling us on page 13. Okay, so we've gotten into our data entry and we're at manage courses and it's telling us to select a district. So we can select a district here. Of course, this is a training site. We have some things in here. So there's only so far I can go, but just to give you an idea of where you're headed. So that's where you would go to add, edit, and review records. On to page 14 of our optimizing spring enrollment guide. The first step in reporting your CTEIS data is to ensure that you have properly created your course sections. Courses may be entered in 2 ways. You can manually enter your courses through managed courses screen or the import feature. Okay, so on page 14 of our guide, it states how you can add new courses. And to add new courses, you can just the create new course button here. And once you select that, a new page will pop up. Let's see if I can kind of, so you could then select your building and select your program. And then the information will then, let's see if we can kind of just demo this here. So then this is our new screen. And as we see, we can enter in manually. So you can enter all course details into the empty text fields. For information related to each field, again, we're going to be going more in depth in that in our enrollment and completion collection guide. But if you, like I said, some things are changing in there. If you want to refer to that right now, you can, but just keep that in mind. You want to also make note of the virtual delivery mode. That is information regarding virtual delivery is in our fall entry guide. But if you click on it, you can select whether it's not virtual, online course, blended, digital. So that information is there. We want to make note of the asterisks that are here. This is information that is required. You definitely have to make sure that that information is entered in. And then, so we have the please select appropriate course type. You can do secondary or post-secondary. So you want to make sure you select that as well. But we have our information here. Want to make note also that in our segment profile, this can also be competency profile. So give me 1 second. I just want to make sure I check our chat. Like I said, when I'm sharing my screen, sometimes I can't see if someone's, nope, I think we're all good for now. Great. Okay. So hopefully we're all back and you can still see my screen that I'm sharing. So again, our segment profile can also be our competency profile because of Perkins 5. So we want to make sure that we enter the information in here. And I'm just briefly going over this because we go more in depth in our next training session. But if you want to get a jump start here, you can fill in the information. After you enter in all of your information, the add course button is down here. And so you want to make sure that you have all of the correct information. You can add staff members to your courses. The course staff panel is here. And you can also use the manage staff screen. But if you want to do it under manage courses, you can do it here. And you select the type, which is additional or part-time, primary. All of that information is there for your managing staff. You can also enter a staff name. If you have that information, you can enter. And then it's saying no staff, but once the information is entered, then you can also edit staff here, but maybe we'll actually get into that in just a few moments. But that's the information that you can enter in your course staff there. So this is our manage courses screen. We're on page 17 of our optimizing enrollment guide. So that's where we are getting this information from. Okay, so right out of the guide. So another feature that I would like to make note, we're on to page 18 and search courses. If you want to search a course, of course, we're in our manage courses screen under our data entry tab. We can click the option which is up here to view all courses. And the course grid will then change. So we were in our screen to add a course or create a new course, but now we're in viewing all courses. So all of our courses are here. And as we can see, there's a number of courses that are listed here. So one way that you can search your courses is to use some of the tools here. So I don't know if you all can see, but as I hover over course name, we can kind of sort. The upward and downward pointing arrow indicates the order of the sort. So maybe you can find courses that way. Clicking inside the grid expands it so that you can view additional records. You can filter by entering criteria in the blank space under the column headers. So right here is that blank space that we're referring to. And then you can click on any book icon to view or edit the details of a selected course. So we used an example on page 19 of our guide. And what we did is we actually entered in the word sport under course name. And we made sure that we had our building number. Okay. So the word sport and then the building number. And what it did was it pulled all of the courses that had the word sport in it. So, specifically sport management, and that operated within the assigned building that I put in. So, there's just a quick guide to kind of minimize the amount of information that you're looking at in this grid here. So, that's one way to utilize the CTEIS tool, is to kind of just sort it or search it specifically. If you want to edit courses, we are still in this screen. You can click on the book icon that we're showing here. And a course details, let's see if we click it here. Okay. So we can specifically go to course details, and as you know from adding courses, our information changed. This is actually entered in because now we're going to edit the course. So then we can enter in the information that we want to edit. And as we mentioned earlier, our course staff panel over here changed. So now we have some information there. So we can then enter in the information. I'm sorry. Okay. Thank you. Let me go back to my chat. Okay. So, um, okay. I do apologize. So where are we? Okay. Okay. So, we are at the questions. Where do we get the info needed for segment profile? Okay. So that information should be given to you from your yeah, as yes, thank you, Stephen, for answering that, from your instructional design forms provided by your instructors. That's correct. And yes, absolutely, we definitely welcome all of the questions. I do apologize, I didn't see this. Let's see. Can you show that, please? I can't get mine to work. Um, Sorting. Absolutely. I will go back to that. I'm going to try to change my screen so I can see both. Underline boxes, service filters, um, specific. Okay. So let me change the screen here. I apologize. All right. So going back to our sorting. And the sort is on page of your guide. It's on page 18. We clicked on the view all courses. Um, 1 second, let me get there. Okay, so this demo is for our sorting question. So what I did was I went back to data entry and I select the managed courses. And what I did was you could put in the sorting, you could use the arrows next to the column headers here, or you can also put in your information here to kind of sort through, because there's a lot of information here. So just make note of that. And again, that's on page 18 of our guide. Why are there 4 competency columns? And I tried entering the PSN, but it didn't filter. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so we're going to, so the segment profiles here, as she was stating, why is there, it's particularly pertaining to the course information. So the segment profile, you have to get that information from the instructional design form and enter in the information here. To answer the question regarding okay. Okay, so we are answering questions regarding competency columns. Okay. Okay, so once you receive that information, now as far as entering in a PSN, I know that when we did it, you did have to have some information. It might have to. We did both the information. So we did the sport and the building number. So you might have to try it with a little bit of information to see if it will sort that way. It's kind of hard to say exactly, but yeah, entering in the PSN, if it didn't do it that way, then you might have to enter in a couple more things on here and try it that way. If that doesn't work, then yes, I'll definitely inquire, make an inquiry to why that is not working for you. So let me know on that one. Okay, so I believe we're on page 20 and it's copy course information. So there's information pertaining to copying course. It's still from the manage courses tab. So you can use that information. You can copy the course details from a course section, quickly generate additional sections of a course. So that information is on page 20. We're on to page 21 of our manual, if you're following along, and deactivate an active course. So we're still in this manage courses screen. We're going to click on our book icon to demonstrate how to deactivate a course. So as you see, our course information changed. So down here at the bottom, when we clicked on the book icon, our course information all entered here, and our virtual mode, our secondary, our segment profile information. So I can then, if I want to deactivate this course, I could push the button here. You may not, just a special note, you may not reactivate an inactive course. So you want to make note of that. And I guess, be very specific, very certain that you want to deactivate the course. You can add, like I stated earlier, you can copy course information. That button is right next to the deactivate course button. Clicking on the book icon again, and then your course details are displayed, and then you can click this button to copy a course. We're on page 21. On to page 22. You can also update a course. So if there's information pertaining to updates regarding a course, that's where that is. You can make the necessary changes to identify a new course section, changing the course section start date, end date. So all of that is under our Manage Courses screen. Okay, so before I go to add staff to courses, I want to check our chat again. It looks like we're still okay for now. We thank everyone for helping out with questions in the chat. So we're working through this together. Let's see here. So on page 22, add staff to courses. So you can, before CTEIS can validate your enrollment information for submission, you must assign a primary instructor. You must also have that you add all additional teachers and paraprofessionals to the appropriate course sections. So you want to make sure that this is filled out. So clicking on the book icon, as we stated, doing our other demos, you can come down to your course staff panel. Okay. Again, selecting a role. And on page 23 is specifically what those roles, there's a little bit of a description on what those roles are for primary, additional full-time, additional part-time, secondary full-time, secondary part-time. So that information is there. In the course staff panel, you can also search staff. And I mentioned this earlier. You can enter in the first several digits or letters of the staff member's PIC, and or pick. And CTEIS displays any instructor in Michigan who matches that entry. So you're going to enter in that information there. Also, a special note is number 5 on page 23 of our manual. It specifically talks about virtual classrooms and the mentor box. So they give a brief description of what a mentor is, and that section is actually over here. So whether or not it's a mentor or not, that's where that no is, over here. So when you're entering in your course staff, just keep that in mind. If a staff member does not appear on your list, you may add that instructor through the Create New Staff Member button or the Manage Staff page. Okay, so we're doing it here under Manage Courses, but we can also do it under Manage Staff. I want to check our chat here. Why would you need to deactivate a course? Again, that's specific information pertaining to your instructional design. But if needed, that tool is there if it's something that you need to change. The keyword filter works with 2 keywords. Okay, thank you for that information. I'm very new. If our existing courses are all carrying over to the next year, are we just updating? Why would we copy versus just update? Okay, so okay, so all of the questions are regarding why we need to update courses or deactivate or copy courses. And we'll make note of that. Okay, so I believe we're on to course staff, but yes, add a new section is a second class time offering of the same course. Okay. So we're going to and again, thanks to everyone who's answering the questions, using it as an open forum. We do appreciate that. So we're going to go ahead and move to, and I hope I'm not moving too quickly, but we're going to go on to I believe we're on page 24 before we get into mass course edits. But as I was stating with the course staff, to remove a staff record from a course section, you can use the trash icon next to the instructor's name, which is here. This is not an instructor's name, of course, but this is for demo purposes only. But this is the trash icon if you need to remove a staff. And then it would be removed from CTEIS. So again, all of this is under our managed courses section. A lot of the questions regarding specific class information and sections, and I can only answer so much in regards to that. I'm just demoing the technical part of CTEIS, but I definitely want to make sure that everyone gets their questions answered. So again, a lot of the questions that you may have that's pertaining to technical issues, I can get that information back to you if I can't answer it within the material that we're covering. So just keep that in mind. But again, we do thank everyone for all of their input in the chat and helping everyone get their questions answered regarding specific courses. So thank you again for that. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment to go back to our PowerPoint slides. And we went back for a moment. So I believe we were on managed courses, but now we're on mass course edits. And so our mass course edits, and if you're following along in our instructional guide, you're on page 25 of our Optimizing Spring Enrollment Guide. Okay, so mass course edits allows you to update multiple records. So to do that, you can go to data entry and mass course edits. We kind of did, it's similar to what we just did with managed courses. The fields you may mass edit include beginning and end dates, semester, virtual delivery mode, high school credits earned, college credits earned. And then also you may mass deactivate courses. So again, just keep in mind, this is this guide on that we have, our instructional guide, specifically gives information to how to walk you through the process. So we are on page 25 of our guide, and it's just giving information again to why mass course edits could be useful. If you need to update multiple detailed fields, if you need to adjust the beginning and end dates, you can also try using mass edits in circumstances when course beginning and end dates need to be altered. Block scheduling, semesters or trimesters are implemented mid-year. High school or college credits are awarded by a class that must be corrected. So there are a few instances where, or circumstances where, a mass course edit might be useful. It says after editing courses, you are encouraged to verify the instructional design of your courses. So building reporters should not attempt to create or interpret instructional design without instructor or CPIT administrator assistance. So just keep that in mind. Again, we're on page 25 and mass course edits page. Let's see here. So I see we're still working through a PSN. So I'm going to head back to screen sharing to show you where this is on our train site. So we're going to go back to data entry, and we're going to go to mass course edit, which is right here. And our screen is going to change. And as we did with our managed courses, we can select a district. And now we're at the mass course edit. And again, we're on page 25. I hope I'm not going through these screens too fast, but to perform a mass course edit, you're going to select the box in the column of the grid of the course that you would like to edit. If you want to select multiple records, you can hold the shift key. So that's just another tool that you can use, but these are the boxes here that we can select of our courses. Okay, and we can select multiple. When you have selected the courses that you want to edit, you're going to click the update courses button, which is this blue button here. Just want to check our chat. And you enter in the new course information within the edit instructions window. So once we click on the update courses, then we'll get a different screen, and then we're going to click on the edit instruction window. And then when we're done, we click on the update courses to apply your changes. There's a special note about filtering or sorting the columns. And then we're on to page 27, and you can deactivate courses. And so you can use the mass course edit screen to deactivate multiple courses at once. You can select courses, select the courses just like we stated earlier by holding the shift key. You can select multiple courses and then click deactivate courses. So we just a special note, deactivated courses no longer appear in the mass course edit grid, but do appear as inactive courses when reviewed in the managed courses screen. So please keep that in mind on page 27, okay, when your mass course edit. And yes, we'll be taking a break in just a moment. We're on to importing courses, is our next section. In the fall. So, oh, nope, I don't want to screen share. I actually want to go back to my PowerPoint slides, and we're on to importing courses. So we talked about how to do it manually. So now this is how you can import your courses if you have them already together. We're going to take a break in about, let's see, can we do this before our break? Let's see here. Actually, we're gonna this section it can get a little bit lengthy. I don't want to be in the middle and stop. So before I go into importing courses, we're gonna take a 5 minute break to reset. So I'm going to keep my screen up on my PowerPoint slide, but you could take a break at this time. I will not cover any new information for 5 minutes. So I'll still keep my information up. I won't change my screen. So if you need to take a moment, please do. And we'll be back in 5 minutes. So about 10:09, we'll say around that. Okay, hello. Yes, I do see that someone said that they can't hear anything. Hopefully they're still on. Yeah, we were on a break. And as far as the recording, it's going to be on support CTEIS, so you don't necessarily have to log in to access that. So if you want to, it may not be up right after we're done, but if you want to check back, it could be up in our support CTEIS site. So yes, we are recording this session. So I'm going to give about another minute or so for everyone to come back and join us before we get started on importing courses. Okay, so we're back, and we left off on importing courses. If you are following in our manual, you're going to be on page 28. And importing courses. So CTEIS allows you to import course details from a student management system. To do this, we're going to go to data entry, and then we're going to click on our student course enrollment import button. And then we're going to select the building that we wish to import the course information into. So this screen has changed probably within the last few months or so. So we're going to demo that just to show you where it is. I don't have any files to import, but I'll show you where you can do that. So want to make sure there are important notes that you want to make sure you make note of when you're importing your courses. And again, on page 28 of our guide, it says importing courses is important because importing courses is the easiest way to add and update several course records. And can be a significant time saver. Imported courses can be edited later if necessary, and importing courses is more accurate than manual data entry. The reason being is you're putting that information in, you're importing it over. So before you import your data, ensure that you identify the data that you need and the format for the data is easy import. There's an importing courses guide that I referred to earlier on in the training. That the links are found in our optimizing spring enrollment guide on page 8. It will link you. The link there for importing courses will link you to our importing courses guide, so you can get further information there. So I'm going to navigate again to our shared screen to go back to demonstrate our importing courses screen. So we were here on mass course edit. We're going to go to data entry as we've been doing all morning so far. And we're going to go to student course enrollment import. That's this one right under managed staff. We referred to managed staff earlier, but this is the one we're going to now. And our screen is going to update. And you're immediately prompted to select the building. So we're going to select the building. And then it takes us to this screen here. And my selected building, and then import enrollment file. So this is the button that I want to click. When I click this button, it's going to prompt me to select my file. So my file windows will pop up, and then I can select the file and import my records that way. Want to make special note, we're on page 29. Errors, if any. Okay, so once you import your file, errors, if any, are displayed in the error column. And if you need to correct any errors, you actually have to remove that file, and then you click the remove file button, and then you reset the screen, which means you go in, you correct your errors in your Excel document, and then you actually import the course file again. So you have to take it out, fix it, and then import it again. You click the upload button at the top of the screen to import your courses. Once you've corrected your errors and you have your information correct, and you can then upload your courses that way. Okay. Review courses. Let's see. Are we? So we were referring to this a couple of times throughout the morning so far, the instructional design report. And some of you may have noticed, you've gotten the email. We have, released updated versions of the program enrollment history and the 3-year instructional design report. Those changed within the last couple of weeks. So due to the size and complexity of these reports in conjunction with competencies, they are now Excel exports. Okay, so make note that that's an Excel export now. They can be found in the building reports in their previous locations, but we want to make sure that you note that these are different. This was in the last couple, maybe 2 weeks or so. We're on optimizing spring enrollment guide on page 30. The 3-year instructional design export is provided to examine CTE program courses to ensure that the courses are providing all of the expected segments and competencies. It is important to note that the export is grouped first by program, then by the last 3 years of the courses conducted, listed chronologically by course begin date. Okay, so Perkins 4 programs will still use segments, and that will be listed first. Perkins 5 programs will use competencies, and they're going to be listed last. The first record in the group is the program record, which lists the PSN, the zip code, the building, and total segments or competencies available in that program. The program competency segment columns display the segments or competencies for that program. Now I'm going to demo this as I've been doing everything this morning to show you where it is. I don't specifically have anything to, I could show you where it is. I don't have a list at this time to demo what that would look like, but I'm going to try to show you as much as I can from this train site. So we're going to go back to our train CTEIS site. We were on imports for courses, but now we're going to go to reports, and we're going to go to building reports, and our screen's going to change, and then we're going to go down to program/course reports. And then that's where the 3-year instructional design report is located. So if we select that, that's it. Okay, then we select our building. Is it gonna show me anything? So if I had information there, okay, here we go. All right. So then I can export to Excel. So it shows you the information that we stated. Our P4s are here. So all of our information is here. And then we can use that as a review tool, verification tool. But I can export to Excel, and then it will look more like the document that's on the PowerPoint slide that we just showed. So I'm going to make note of that. I can definitely show it again. I did my courses import in November. Do I need to do it again? Thank you for answering that. Can I show it again? No problem. I guess you want me to show how to get there. That's not a problem at all. So we're gonna go back up to we're on our CTEIS training site. We're gonna go to reports, and then we're gonna go to building reports, and that's where I get to this screen here, building report launcher. And then we're going to go down to like the third section of this page, and it's program/course reports, and 3-year instructional design report is there. And then we would select that, and that's how we would get to that that screen. Okay, so that's how we got there. While we are still in that, are you, when you hit the select button, it takes a little while to upload, but if you have that access, it should be there. Reports show CTEIS reports, dashboards, CTEIS.com reports. Okay, yes. Thank you, Diana. Yeah, that's definitely it. If you have that access, then yeah. Okay. Can you show me one more time? Absolutely. So we'll go to our Train CTEIS site. So we're back at our Train CTEIS, and we're going under reports here. And if you have that access, it will be here. You're gonna building reports, and that's the screen that we're on here. And then we're gonna go down to about the third section, and it's the 3-year instructional design report, and you select that there. Okay. We're at the same screen. Well, not the same screen, the same tab. We're let me stop sharing so I can show you where I'm at, where I am on our PowerPoint slides here. So we're still then reviewing courses, and then this one is another. So list of course by building report shows all courses operating during the current school year. Oh no problem. As long as you find it, that's fine. Not a problem at all. So lists of courses by building reports. And then you go to get here just like we did for the last one, you go to reports and building reports. I will demo this. But under program course reports, you can use this report to verify that your classes within the building have been entered into CTEIS accurately, that your course detail fields are accurate. So I'm going to show you where you can find this report too. If you're following along in our optimizing spring enrollment guide, you're on page 32. Okay, so I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. And we were on the building report launcher. And this time we were down here before for the 3-year instructional design report. This was the last section, but now we're into student lists by building, which is the first one here. So if we click here and then we select our building, let's see. And then that's where, well, that's the student list. 1 second. So actually, I retract that last statement. That is actually under the third section too. So we were at the 3-year instructional design. Then the list of courses by building is actually in that same section. So that's where you can get that report. Okay. So those two reports, again, on our guide, we were on page 32. All right, so we've done a lot with courses. We've talked about courses. We've, went through a lot. So now what about the students? We would need to manage students. So that's what this section is talking about. It is extremely important that this information is entered correctly, as it is used to make sure student information is recorded correctly, allow follow-up reporters to contact students. That's when we do our follow-up reporting in the fall. You go to data entry and then manage students. So we've been going to manage courses. Now we're going to switch and go to manage students. If you are following along in our enrollment manual, you're on pages 34 and 35. Okay. So student records are an important part of your enrollment and completion collection. Some student information in CTEIS supplements data required by the MSDS. So addresses, phone numbers, email addresses on file in the CTEIS database are used for follow-up reporting. Federal reports require student data, especially student credentials and special populations. So we want to make sure that this information is accurate. Okay, so if you want to go to manage students, you go to the data entry bar and then manage students. And I will show you where this is. We're going to navigate back to our Train CTEIS site. Okay, so now we're back to our data entry tab. We were in reports, but now we're in our data entry tab. And we're going to go to manage students, which is the first selection there. And it's having a moment to think here. We need to, okay, here it is. Took a little bit of them, but it's here now. Okay, so we're on our Manage Student screen. Okay, so when we're at our Manage Student screen, we will select the building. Okay, so the drop-down menu, we will select our building, and then it says you may load students from that building into the student grid. Okay, so you may view students who have left school by selecting include students who left school checkbox. So that's the checkbox up here. Okay. To search for a student, we can enter either a UIC or last name. So that's where we could search up here in our search box, last name or UIC. We can sort our list by clicking on the column headers like we did in our courses, but we can sort our students, and that information is there. If we want to add a new student record, if a student does not exist within the CTEIS database, you can add a new student record using the following process. So we're on page 35. We're on our Manage Students page. And then we can just select the Add Student button here, okay? And then the Student Detail panel opens. So then we can add our students that way. Okay. And then we're on to number 3. We can enter in the student's core information. So the core information is here. And like I stated when we were back in our managed courses, our asterisks here indicate information that we must enter. So we want to make sure that we keep that in mind. Okay. And then the sending facility is over here. Our UIC is over here. So we want to make sure that we enter in that information. Again, for details on how to enter this information, you can refer to the student demographic fields in the enrollment and completion collection guide. That's on our knowledge base now. But again, keep in mind a lot of that information is updating for our new training session that begins on the 31st of this month. So you just want to keep that in mind. But that information is available. So once you entered in all of the information, you can click the Add Student button here, and then that information will be updated. And then again, as always, we show manual procedures, but you can also do imports. And if you want to import, instead of updating or adding new student records into CTEIS individually, you may use the recommended file import process. And we just want to make sure that you refer to the importing students information that I referenced earlier. Okay. Or have I got? Oh, we're actually into importing students, which is which is our next section. So you can import your students this way. So we're just going to roll right into that. So we've already gave it an introduction. So let's get on to it. So we are going to importing students. That was managing students, importing students. Looks a lot like our importing courses. So CTEIS allows you to import student demographic details from a student management system, just like we said with our courses. We're going to the same tab that we were just on for our student enrollment, our student course and enrollment import button. And then we're going to import the enrollment file. So again, I can show you where that is, but I don't have a file to import. But 37 and 38 of our guide gives snaps, like pictures of what that looks like. So let's head over just to show you where we are um, on our on our Train CTEIS site. So we were here. We're going to go here back to our same student course enrollment import. And then it's prompting us to select the building. And then this is where we would import our file, okay, our Excel file that we've already have our students and our information on. So review the imported records from the uploaded file. Errors, if any, are displayed in the error column. To correct your errors, again, like we did with our courses, we want to remove the file, fix the file, and then import the file again. Okay, once all of the errors have been cleared, we can then click the upload button to upload all error-free student records. If you click the export button, it allows you to export the list of import records and their import statuses. So you can also use that as an offline review and correction tool. Okay, so again, our student import file specifications guide is on our knowledge base, and I referenced that link on page 8 of our enrollment guide, so you can use that. And we're on to page 39 in our guide, and the student enrollment validation. So as we were talking about, as far as our colors, once you have, I know you're looking at my screen and it just says import enrollment file, but if you actually press that button and selected your file from the file window, your Excel file, once you uploaded your students, you may see colors, green, blue, and red. And those colors indicate either green is your add student, which is all set to go. Blue is update student for valid student records, and then student errors found in red. So if the record failed validation. So if the errors are found, it'll also describe what the error is in that next row. So again, we're on page 39 of our guide, and it gives the codes for the errors there. Okay, so now we're on to page 40, review students. And I'm going to stop sharing this screen, and we're going to go back to our PowerPoint slide. And we're on to review students. So the check UIC button, it allows us to verify. So we've gotten all of our student information and want to verify. It allows you to verify the student's UIC without saving records. Okay, the bad UIC by building report shows the UIC name, student name, gender, date of birth, UIC errors of all enrolled students within a building. There is we're on the manual on page 40. I do want to make a special note. I got information yesterday that the UIC checker has been adjusted. So if you're working on UICs and they are good, but you're still having issues, please allow 2 to 3 days. They are currently working on them. Also, I was informed that the bad UIC checker is doing a better job and should be ready in also a couple of days, about 2 to 3 days. There may be a listserv released that information when they're all set to go. But please stand by on those. We had a couple of questions regarding that UICs and on last session, our last training session. So we just want to make note that we're working on those, and that information should be available within the next 2 or 3 days or so. So just stay tuned on that. Okay. Um, so again, manual page 40. If you're on our train CTEIS site, if you're following along, you can go to reports and then building reports. And then under audit reports, you're going to find this information. So that's the review students here. And then expired MSDS check date report. If you want to get that information, displays a list of students who have not been updated. You can go to reports and building reports, and then audit reports is where you would find this report. Okay, so these are also useful reports to help review students. And this is on page 41 of our manual. This information is reported to this to the teacher student data link. So again, as we provide information for manual entry, one of the best ways to ensure your students are correct is to import them. Once you enter that information into CTEIS, it may take a day or two to see your input. So just keep that in mind. But you can use these reports to check and see if the information is there. Okay. So just other useful tips. Manage enrollment. We are moving right along. So our managed enrollment can be found in our manual on page 42. So CTEIS offers a variety of tools to help manage your student enrollments. You go to data entry and then manage enrollments. Here you can make a variety of, you can take a variety of actions. You can enroll students in a course, edit student enrollment information, copy, transfer enrolled students from one class to another. You can print a class list, input student grades, and then check the segments the students are enrolled in. So just keep that in mind with our managed enrollment. Again, on our guide, we're on page 42. Okay, so I'll show you, actually now I'm going to just show you our guide where I'm talking about. I haven't referred to that in a while. So we're on we've done all of that. I'm just scrolling down to the section that we're in right now. Sorry, past it. Okay, so 42. Manage enrollment. Okay, so just as we've been doing with everything else, we're going to go for our, of course, we're already logged in using our My Login. We're going to go to our data entry and manage enrollment. We can then select the district, and then we're going to, it says to click the book icon, and we can get the information there. I'll show you this screen in just a moment. I'll get there. So we're on to data entry, and then we're manage enrollment, which is here. Okay, so we would select our district, and then there are our courses. We can click the book icon, and then the enrolled students are displayed in a grid, and then you can sort, as we stated earlier, by clicking on the icons under the column headers. If we click the report button here, the button quickly access and print a class student list report. Use this report to obtain sign off from your teachers. So this is something, again, that you could use as verification. Let's see here. Let's see if we get something here just as a demo. If not, we'll move on. Okay, that's okay. All right, so that's what you would do here. Again, on page 43, there's a photograph of how that information looks. So if we click on the book icon, you can see that the screen changes here. We can edit and delete. The enrolled students panel shows valuable information regarding the selected course, including the course section codes, the local course name, PSN and zip codes, beginning and end dates, and the primary instructor. Okay. This information changes as you edit class information using your managed courses screen. So we did that early on. So this is information if we want to enroll students, update enroll students, and copy transfer students. So those buttons are above here: enroll students, update, and copy transfer students. Okay. And we're on to page 44. And as we stated, clicking on the book icon, if we want to add new enrollments, we can click on enroll students and the pop-up window will open. So if we want to add new enrollments, we can use that button there. You can select a sending facility to browse for students using the select district drop-down list. Okay, so that's there. Okay. We can select a student subsection button to enroll him and her into that subsection of the course. Okay. So the highlighted rows within the students grid indicate students who have been already enrolled in the course section. So that information is there. This is again under manage enrollment. We can also edit enroll students in the screen by clicking on the book icon and update enrolled students. That's the button here that we talked about a few seconds ago. We can do that. We can edit any of the following fields. We can enter in new enter date and exit date, work-based learning, subsections, grade, and delete enrollments. We're on page 46 of our guide, if you're following along. Okay. And then let's see here. Copy transfer students. We're on page 47. You can do all of this information from the manage enrollment page. Okay. Inputting grades, grade input is also manage enrollment. And you're on page 48 of our guide. It gives you information on how to do that. And a lot of this will be covered more in depth in our enrollment and completion training. That one is coming up. Make sure you sign up for those training courses. And the first one begins on the 31st. And so a lot of this will be covered in that as well, a little more in depth. This is just kind of an overview to get you started. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you sign up for the upcoming training dates that might go a little more in depth. Let's see. So that's our manage enrollment. Okay, so that's where you would do that. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my slides and we're going to move on to the next topic. If we want to review enrollments, the class student list report, I kind of showed it a little bit earlier on, but you can go to reports, then building reports, and under audits, you can look at the class student lists, and you can use this report to verify and obtain sign-offs that your students have been enrolled into the correct courses, that your courses are offering the 12 segments that you need. And again, when we refer to segments, we're talking about Perkins 4. So we're still changing a lot of that verbiage over, but you can use that class list to verify that information. Okay. And I did mention these reports earlier and the fact that they changed. So when we're reviewing enrollment as well, we have our program enrollment history report. This tool is to help verify student enrollments. Very large exports can be verified. This report can be used to verify students who are advancing as expected. So we're still making a switch from 4 to 5, Perkins 4 to 5. So a lot of this is still in the process of being updated. So you can use the competency profile page to obtain the reports from last year. So you would go under reports and then competency profiles. And we're on page 71 of our optimizing guide if you want to find that information as well. Okay. So all of this is under the reports. Just give me 1 second. Okay. So I'm just going to show where those reports are one more time so that you know where they are. So again, under the reports tab, building reports, and then that's where these reports are. Okay, so you can find, like I talked about with the program enrollment history report and those other reports, they're here, right over here. So you can find all of that information here. The if you want to find the competency profile page, you're going to go under reports, and then that one is competency profiles, and that has its own, and then you would select your program and you can generate that report. Okay. Okay, so that's where you can find that. Now we're on to credentials. Each of your programs must either list students who will receive credentials in the current year or state that no credentials were provided in the current year. So this is all information that needs to be entered as well. So before submitting your enrollment data for review, you will need to indicate any certifications or other credentials your student attained during the current school year. Enter all credentials received by students in a given year so that CTEIS may determine when each student qualifies for post-secondary credential indicator. You want to make sure that they determine when qualify. Okay. So more information on managed credentials is in the guide, our managed credential guide, which is on our CTEIS knowledge base. And if you're following in our optimizing guide, you're on page 55. So we're going to show you the here on page 55 of our guide. It has the managed credentials and how you can get there. I'll take you through that as we've been doing. So we're going to do our managed credentials. We're going to go to data entry, and then we're going to go to manage credentials. That's down here. We can also upload credentials, as we stated, as far as doing manual versus uploading. We would select our district, and then our screen will appear. And there we are. So you can click all programs and the credentials export button at the top if you wish to view any credentials currently linked to your students as an Excel workbook. Okay, so keep that in mind. Click the select button of a program to display program details and a list of classes operating within that program. So again, we're on page 56, and it gives all of the descriptions to the program details as far as all currently enrolled in courses, in school but not enrolled. So all of that information is very helpful in our guide. I want you to refer to that. But this is the screen that you would use to get there. Okay. This is our managed credentials. It goes through a number of things as far as selecting authorized credentials and supplemental suggested credentials on page 57 of our guide. A certification linked to a student. If you wanted to delete a credential, you can just select the remove link. Once you have selected, the remove link will come up and you can make edits there. And then you can refer to the guide on page 59. There's an import credentials guide that gives us some descriptions as well. Okay, so this is our importing credentials guide. Okay. And that goes through page 60. So just make note of that in our optimizing guide. There is a potential errors and resolution grid on page 61 regarding our credentials. I'm going to show you this page here real quick so that you'll have that for reference. We're in our optimizing spring enrollment guide, and I'm actually on page 61. So we were there. We're going down to 61. It's 51. So all of the information that we're at managed credentials, 55, 56, 57, all the way down to 60. And then that error guide is here on page 61. Okay. So all of that information for managed credentials. Not mentioned here. I'm going to stop sharing, but you can refer to that for reference if you need information there. But not mentioned specifically in our guide, but on our knowledge base, our work-based learning information, the ways you would need to enter work-based learning. And you can reference the work-based learning guide on our knowledge base, and I'll go and show you where that is. But pertains to enrollments, you could do mass enrollment edits or enrollment imports, consolidate into programs. You can manage work-based learning through manual entry and review. And then, of course, like we said, you can import your work-based learning by program. Okay, so guide specifically to work-based learning is on our knowledge base. And again, this will be covered in more detail in our next training session. So please make note of that. The enrollment and completion collection training starts March 31st. We have a couple of dates going into April and further. So please don't forget to sign up for that. There's important information there, especially with all the changes that are taking place. But I'm going to show you where you can find our work-based learning guide on our knowledge base. Okay, so I'm back at our knowledge base screen. And then what we were enter is we're under data entry and enrollments. And once we click that, as I stated earlier, our optimizing spring enrollment guide that we've been talking out of is here. That enrollment and completion guide that is going to be updated, that information is here. We were talking about credentials. That credentials guide is here under special collections. And then we're currently talking about work-based learning, and that guide is here. Okay. So we want to make sure that we take advantage of the knowledge base. It really does have important information and resourceful information. So, just kind of, it's a great resource. You want to make sure that you keep that in mind. Okay. So that's our support.cteis.com is where I am right now. So that's okay. So that's our work-based learning. And now we have made it to validate enrollment data. So after you've done everything, you've done, you've input all of your records and your students and your courses and, your work-based learning, your credentials, you want to validate. Okay. So run validation early and frequently to alert yourself to student data issues that may take time to resolve. Okay, so we don't want to wait to do this, and that was the purpose of this course, is to get you started, to get you in thinking that way. So I do want to make note, as well as things have been changing over the course of a couple of weeks. There are changes. Validation is open currently for 2021, 2022. Okay. So last week I said that it was going to be this week. We have made that, and it's open. So there are a few new codes this year and updates to the validation error guide, but it works the same way. Okay. So, we want to refer to pages 63 and 64 of our optimizing spring enrollment guide. And then we just want to make note that there are changes. As you see on this screen, it says completer assessment report. It's like a screenshot. That's going to be changed to student advancement report, I believe is what it's going to be called. So all of this information is changing. Again, that information will be covered in our next training session. So just stay tuned to that. But right now, you can look at this information because it is up. You go to data entry, and then you can click on enrollment completion, and that's where you will see this information for validate enrollment data. What I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate back to our guide and show you some pages here. Okay. Let's see. Open in our browser. So enrollment validation. And as I stated, we're going to go to our data entry tab and click on enrollment completion. We can select the year. And then from here, we can click the validate button to the left of a building name to run a report validation. We can correct any errors that appear within a building. So if you it says you may click the export to Excel button to export error list into an Excel spreadsheet. So again, we talked about how to change or how to take out the file and upload the file to correct errors. Number 6 on page 63, and we're talking about validation, 4483 button to review the data verification and enrollment report. So that's the RPT. And it's a description of what this report provides. So you want to make note of that. See. And so again, some of this information is going to be changing because we're currently changing over a lot of information. So you can use this report, the 4483 RPT, to obtain sign-off from course instructors verifying that all the courses have been properly added to CTEIS and students have been correctly tabulated. Okay, so the 4483 STD button, this report is useful for verifying your individual student enrollments. Okay, so that's notes on there. We're going to just show you where this is again. We're almost at the end here of our time, but I definitely want to show you how to access this. Okay, so I'm going to I'm going to stop sharing this one. And then I'm going to go back to our Train CTEIS site. Okay, so we're going to go to validate your enrollment data. We're going to go to data entry and then enrollment completion. This is all the way down at the bottom. Okay, and we're going to click there. And then as you see, we can validate. And these are the two reports that I was referring to a few seconds ago on pages 63 and 64 of our optimizing guide. Okay, so that information is there. And then if you continue to go through the guide through pages 66 through 68, it covers review student UICs and grades. 69 through 72 covers reviewing your student advancement. Okay, and again, some of those terms have changed because it used to be completer, but now it's referred to as student advancement. Okay, so or more than a completer. More than a concentrator, but student advancement is what we're referring to now. So it refers pages 69 through 72 of our guide refers to the instructional design report, our student advancement report, and program enrollment history report. And I will, of course, show that. I'm not going to just talk about it. I show you where it is. So that was 64. On 65, we have a troubleshoot enrollment data issues page. We're going to review our UICs and grades. I mentioned that on pages 66 through 68. So UIC with no current MSDS report. Enrollment issues on page 68. And then we're to page 69, which we're going to review student advancement. This is the reports that we were talking about. And our instructional design report, our student advancement report, it's currently saying completer, but it's going to change. And then our program enrollment history report on our menu, it says 3-year enrollment history report. So you want to keep that in mind. That's the same one. and that's on page 72. That goes through page 72. So all of these screens are different. You should have gotten information pertaining to these updates through the listserv, and that's what that's referring to. So that's on page 72. Okay. And then on page 73 is our final step. It's complete your report. And again, all of this information will be talked about again in our upcoming training session, but it gives information on how to complete your report. And you just want to make sure that you make note of that. This is again our Optimizing Spring Enrollment Guide, page 73. Okay. And I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. Where would we find these other experienced reporters? I don't have anyone. Oh, okay. Again, thank you to everyone that has been in the comments, just answering questions. This, very, very, very helpful. We want to thank you for everyone in your input and your comments and your questions. Again, hopefully I covered information that you may have been wondering about, but if not, if you're still having trouble, help is available. This is the slide that I showed earlier. For technical help and technical issues regarding data collection, if you need assistance with entering or importing your data, or any issues related to CTEIS operations or usage, please refer to our help desk. I honestly do not have a specific date on when the student advancement report is going to be ready. I will definitely make sure that I let them know that you asked, and I will definitely try to get that information to you as soon as possible. I want to make sure that I write that down. Again, some of the questions that we have, if they haven't been answered, hopefully we can get them answered within the next couple of days. Some things are being updated. But again, our PTD help desk is very useful for technical help. If you have policy help specifically, you want to contact OCTE. And we're at the end of our training. This is it. We made it through their Optimizing Spring Enrollment. We want you to please remember that it is so important, if you have not started already, to plan for optimizing spring enrollment. Please remember the checklist that I mentioned earlier. That was on page 11 of our Optimizing Spring Enrollment Guide. You can use that checklist along with the other instructions in the guide to import your data. The Optimizing Spring Enrollment Guide is a very helpful tool. It is basically what I talked out of completely, 100% during this whole training session. So please head over to our knowledge base and make note of that. Have that ready if you need it. We also encourage you to utilize our knowledge base for the credentials and work-based learning information. We showed that earlier where our knowledge base is. That information is also there. So I see there's an expanded information that will be covered during, absolutely. We will cover that in our enrollment and completion courses. Definitely head over and sign up for that. Is there a simple abbreviated 1 to 2 page at a class companion and document to the checklist in order the task to be done? Some of the terms and tasks seem to overlap between the modules. Okay, I don't know that there is another checklist. I'm looking at your question here.
Oh, reference the page in the guide. Oh, I see. Some of the terms. Okay. I don't know that. Oh, she said page 13. The fall is another task. Thank you, Diana. If you look at the fall guide, there's another task checklist. So page 13 may be another option for you. And again, as we stated, yes, we will definitely cover a lot of this information in our next training. Um, so you want to head over and make sure that you sign up for enrollment and completion. Again, that starts the 31st of this month, actually. So it's just in a few weeks. Okay. So we thank you so much for your time and your attention. We thank you so much for attending. Hopefully, we have helped you get started or start making your way to get started. And again, that next training session is coming up very quickly. I will stay around if anyone has any questions and try to answer the best that I can. If if your question wasn't covered in this training, maybe it may be brought up again in the next training. But also, there are some things that are being updated within the next couple of days, so it might end up working itself out because we're still making updates. But yeah, please use the information on the help slide, the knowledge base, and the optimizing spring enrollment. um we asked that each of you please stay around. We have a survey that pops up when I end the session. So if you can fill out the survey, it really helps out our training sessions in a lot of ways. We really value your input, so please make sure to fill out that training survey. Okay, so as soon as I end this session, it's going to pop up, and we ask that everyone fill it out. But yes, thank you all so much for tuning in, and Diana has put in the chat the link if you need to leave before I actually close the session. Yes, you can click that link and fill it out. So thank you so much, and hopefully everyone has gotten your information to get started. And I will look forward to seeing all of you in the next training session for enrollment and completion, as we go more in depth with some of the concepts that we covered in this training. So I'll stick around if anyone has any other questions for me, and then we're going to end in a couple of minutes so that everyone can complete the surveys. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. Let me see if I can navigate. So if we go to, I'm going to go to sharing my screen again to show where to sign up. So if you go here to training and you go to registration and info, this is the link here. So then we would be going to spring enrollment, and here are the dates. So here we go. Yeah, so this is how you sign up for that on our knowledge base. It's under our knowledge base and under training, registration and info. That's how you get there. Okay. So hopefully everyone has gotten everything. Again, thank you so. Oh, can you please drop your email address? Absolutely. And thank you, Diana, for giving the fall guide the link. But yeah, I can. So we're still sharing our screen here. So these are where our guides are. So that's again under our data entry, enrollments, and that's where those guides are there. Okay. So again, thank you all for joining. I'm not going to hold you any longer. Hopefully everyone has their resources. And I'm going to end the training now. So please don't forget to fill out that survey. Thank you so much for joining in. See you all next time in the next training. Thank you.